through the lens of desire after the long flight. Bangkok was bustling as always, but this time, she wasn't just visiting for a photo shoot. This time, she was here for a new project, hired by a prestigious company to do a high-end campaign for their top models. After years of working around the world, Ling Ling was back in the city she once called home, and the weight of the past felt like it had finally caught up with her. As she entered the modern glass and steel building of the company, her mind drifted to the memories of her last time in Bangkok. The love she lost, the love that slipped through her fingers. The love that had once consumed her and shattered her all at once. The thought of her was like a sharp pang in her chest, and despite the years that had passed, Ling Ling still couldn't fully let go. She had tried, she had moved on, but she knew, deep down, that she could never forget Om. No one could replace her. No one ever would. Ling Ling, a smooth voice broke her from her thoughts. Natasha, the young assistant she had met earlier, greeted her with a smile as she led the way through the sleek halls. "Everything's all set for the shoot tomorrow," Natasha said, her voice professional yet warm. "But first, there's someone I want you to meet." Ling Ling followed her, nodding politely, trying to focus on the work ahead. The photo shoot would be important, but part of her wasn't entirely present, her mind still tugged toward the past, to that broken love. They arrived at a large office, its walls lined with impressive artwork, sleek furniture, and an overwhelming sense of success. Natasha knocked twice before pushing the door open, gesturing for Ling Ling to enter. Inside the room, the CEO sat at a polished wooden desk, her back turned as she stared out the large window overlooking the city. Ling Ling stepped forward, expecting the usual high-ranking businessperson, someone stern and impersonal. Then, the CEO turned around. Ling Ling's breath caught in her throat. Her eyes went wide, her body frozen in place. It was Om. 10 years had passed, but it was her, more polished, more powerful, but unmistakably the woman Ling Ling had once loved. Om's features had matured, her look refined and commanding. But there was still that same grace, that same elegance in her presence. Om's eyes flickered as she saw Ling Ling. A moment of shock passed over her face, quickly masked by a cool, professional expression. Natasha stood quietly beside Ling Ling, sensing the tension in the room, but not fully understanding the gravity of the situation. "Ling Ling," Om finally said, her voice calm but with an edge of something deeper, a history, an emotion, that neither of them could ignore. "It's been a long time." Ling Ling's throat tightened. I didn't expect this," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I thought you were gone. I never thought I'd see you again." Om's gaze softened for a moment. A flicker of something familiar in her eyes. But it was gone as quickly as it had appeared. She stood up, walking around her desk to stand before Ling Ling, a faint tension between them. "I left," Om said quietly, "for reasons I'm not sure you ever fully understood. But I built this company, Ling Ling. I had to rebuild my life. And I did it alone." Ling Ling nodded, her heart aching. She knew that Om had been hurt, just as she had. She had never truly understood why Om ran away that night, why she never came back. But seeing her now, this powerful woman, it was clear that Om had done exactly what she said. She had built her life from the ashes of their past. "I didn't want to hurt you," Om continued, her voice strained. "But I couldn't stay. I wasn't ready for us, Ling Ling. I wasn't ready for what we had." Ling Ling's chest tightened. It felt like the walls were closing in. She wanted to speak, to say so many things. But the words caught in her throat. Instead, she simply nodded, her mind racing. Natasha, standing quietly by the door, watched the exchange between the two women. She could feel the weight in the air, the unspoken tension, and the history between them. She didn't fully understand what had happened. But she could tell this meeting was far more than just a professional one. I came here to work," Ling Ling said finally, breaking the silence. I didn't come here to dig up the past. Om's eyes softened, a deep sadness crossing her features for the briefest of moments. I understand, and I'm not asking you to. I've moved on from the past, but it's still part of who I am. The room was heavy with unsaid things, the words neither of them dared speak. The air between them crackled with the intensity of emotions they had buried long ago. Natasha, Om said, turning to her assistant, I'll leave Ling Ling to settle in. You can handle the details of the photoshoot tomorrow. Natasha nodded, still unsure.